Hi, I'm Patricia Allingham Carlson, and this is my video art lessons for children and beginners, drawing the human face in charcoal with a 3/4 view. We're covering the 3/4 view quite thoroughly because it's a difficult and challenging one to do. And I'm one who thinks that practice is what makes us gain and grasp a skill the very best. I'll be drawing it in pencil, I'll be shading in charcoal, and I'll be doing a lot of blending. I hope that you'll enjoy it and give it a thumbs up. Now let's draw. Hi, welcome back to art lessons for children and beginners. I'm working with the human face again, and I'm working with charcoal, pencil, and of course my eraser. What I'm going to do is start a sketch here, and this will be in a 3/4 point of view, which means the face is turning slightly away from the viewer. I'm going to start with pencil because charcoal can be hard enough to control. And when I'm drawing a more complicated view of the human face, like the 3/4 view, it can be helpful to get it down with pencil first, and any mistakes made could be erased a little more easily than with charcoal. I'm looking at a picture of a photograph of a model, and part of her head goes off the page, so I am drawing it that way. So her eyes are not halfway down her face because part of her head is up here. So I'm just going to try to draw what I see. And make adjustments as I go, and then I'll be starting in with the charcoal. This is the 3/4 view nose, where we see most of one nostril and not much of the other. We don't see much of this side of her face, but we do see this side of her face. Here is her eye coming in here, and this will be going right off the corner, roughly one eye in, with a slightly more angular approach, where we have a sharper tilt here and here. The brow going over to about here, and I can see I'm going to need to make the face wider and the nose as well. This is a very sketchy sketch. As you can see, I'm making several lines on top of each other, and that is fine to do for a sketch. It helps your hand figure out where things should go. And that's my opinion. So I'm not making this face up, I am actually looking at something and trying to draw what I see. I'm making adjustments as I go. This cheekbone needs to come out a little fuller. And this jawline needs to come over a little bit further. And her ear is coming back into this area. And we're starting to get where I need to go to continue with the charcoal. Now this woman has some hair going under her eye, but I want to draw her eye first before I bring the hair down. So I will put that hair going into her eye on last instead of first, because I want to make the eye first before I cover it up. Does that make sense? So this ear is actually a covered up ear with hair. Here we go. This woman has a lighter side to her face and a darker side. So I'm going to start in with the darker side, shading lightly with the charcoal. Again, I'm using the side of it, and I'm only going in very, very light. I can go in much darker later. With charcoal, you want to build the color up slowly. around the nostril, around the nose, around the eyes, underneath the lower lip, underneath the chin, on the neck, anywhere the hair comes in. Then I'm going to come in tighter and I'm going to outline the top lid. I'm going to carefully outline where the eye is looking at the viewer, the iris and the pupil. I'm going to outline the line between the lips, and I'm going to gently take some color into this side of the face. And now I'm going to use my finger and do an awful lot of blending. So here's a start of shading. Now, my dirty fingers, I can use them and go ahead and make these shadows into shadows by doing a little blending. Where I want it to stay light, obviously I'm not going to put any color at all. I can add more color later, but it's always best to do less than you need to, rather than overdo it and then have to go back and erase things. So here I'm blending around the eye. I'm blending a little bit right between the eyes where the nose goes in. I'm blending around the nose. I'm going to actually blend the eye itself, trying to stay within the iris. The top lip, under the bottom lip, and then I'm going to do a little bit of the bottom lip, just not as much as the top lip. She's starting to look more human. Now I'm going to show you something I don't believe I've showed you before, and that's having some fun with hair. First, I'll finish her eyebrows off, and then I'm going to put in, this woman has dark hair, so I'm going to make some fairly dark lines of hair. I'm going to take my finger and streak it. Her hair is pretty straight. So after I streak it, I'm going to do a little blending, and I'm not wiggling my finger back and forth like I would for a person with wavy hair. Then I'm going to take my eraser, and anywhere that the light might be catching her hair and shining on it, I could put some hairs in by erasing them off. A little bit or a lot, it's up to you. And it's also up to how your model looks. If your model has very curly hair, you can erase some really curly hair. So I'm putting in the lines and the gray shading. I'm blending it down with my fingers, straight, wavy, curly, whatever you want to do. And then I'm going to erase some highlights, and that's where the light is shining on the hair. And I believe it makes it look sort of like real hair. I always enjoyed doing that with charcoal. I'm going to give her some darker lashes to make her eyes stand out a little more. Put her pupil back on again. Give her nose, nostril a little darkness. A little more darkness around her hairline and under her chin. And when I think that she's close to being finished, I'll put that hair into her eye. A little more shading on this side of the face, where the shadow side is. And again, you'll see I did not build that up dark or heavy. I built it up lightly. I can make it darker by building up more, but I don't want to make it super, super dark, because then it's too hard to get rid of if I decide I don't like it. Blend out that pupil a little bit. And now I'll put her hair that goes into her eye. I don't want to cover her eye up, so I'll just blend it lightly. And you could still see her eye because I didn't cover it entirely. But it adds to the look of what she's trying to pull off as her fashion look. Does she want some hair in on this side? That'll be up to you. But for now, I think she stands pretty well. I'm going to do a little bit more highlighting on her hair and call it done. Again, I'm taking my eraser, pressing down pretty hard. I'm erasing some streaks into the hair. I just erased a little bit of highlight in the eye. Now I'll put a little color back in. A little more shading here. And that's a bird clock I have in the other room, if you can hear that. It has a different bird for every hour. And there is a 3/4 drawing, shaded in charcoal, and it's got my hands quite messy, but it sure was fun to work with. I hope you learned something. I hope you enjoyed this video and learned something from it. Please give it a like and a thumbs up and subscribe in the links below so you don't miss any lessons coming up. There are also links to the places where I buy my supplies from, including most of my scholastic supplies from blick.com. More links lead to my Facebook page and my blog on art and life. I'll see you next video.